Now, these guys have been working together for, what, over 20 years now?
It's more than. Yes.
We actually were in the apprentice shop together when we were 16
years old. Yeah.
You're kidding?
And we didn't work that out until about 10 years later when we was on a Metallica tour.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Bizarre as it is.
So about 34 years.
34 years. You'd be able to read each other's minds.
Well, we actually are. There's a little bit of telepathy goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Paul, I just wanted to ask you about this rig up here. Can you explain, you know, how long does something like that to take to put together? And it's obviously a big job.
Well, there's a design concept at the beginning according to what the production is when it first gets put together. And then it's the engineer's input. Ask the sound company, can you achieve this? And then we have to do things related to distribution of sound and also down to weight as well, which is a big governing factor with a system this big, because you're looking at something that's getting into, you know, 80 tons of equipment. A lot of arenas don't hang that. A big difference in arenas here, because you see it's got an open roof and there's no scoreboard. In the US and a lot of the arenas now, they've gone to these huge scoreboards which are very weight orientated, so therefore it dictates how big a show you can hang around that. So this show was all, when we designed this show, we had to take the weight into serious consideration. So one thing we did on this, because it's a Maya system and all the amplifiers are built in, it means no amplifiers on the ground for people who don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So we just run a power cable feeder up there and fibre optic. If we'd gone to the old technology of having amplifiers on the ground and speakers up there, we would have probably...
Well, we've done it. We've actually done it.
We've done that. We would probably have an additional, I should say, 4 to 8 tons of cable running up there. So when you take that load off, that broadens it for other people to expand on their side of the production, such as lighting and flying coffins.
There's only a given amount of weight that can be hung there, and if we grab it all with speaker system, then of course the show would be kind of look a bit dark, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
And also with this, you know, Mick really wanted to put with Metallica, and over the years we've done in the round quite a few times now. And we've challenged with different challenges with different productions, and Mick's always pushed the envelope to changing things around. And we tried a different bass concept with this to put all the subs in the air and nothing on the ground, which is
it's tough.
It's tough because
but it's a very low stage is the problem, as you saw earlier when we were down there. The stage is only 3 foot, so you could only ever get one bass bin high or one sub bass bin high. So you're never going to couple a load of them together to give you more of a summation. So we decided that to go, everything in the air is what's got to be done.
And you guys cart all this equipment around with you for all the shows?
Correct.
Yep.
And he was asking us about time to go in. Normally a system of this size, once it's actually, you know, we've got the production down and it's running well, actual build time from this, from trucks unloading to actually being ready to start a line check or whatever, it can be up to about 5 hours. We can move this, which is, I should say, I don't know what it is in Australian truck sizes, but in the US it's 17 semis of 53-foot semis.
So you've really got it down pat.
Yeah, the guys
have got it faster on the way out.
Practice,
and it's even faster on the way out.
Oh, fantastic.
It becomes a really well-oiled machine towards the end of the day. You know?
So how many staff members along for the show?
I think in total, crew call for this is probably 60 plus 65.
Locals or internal?
No, for our guys.
Internal crew between lighting, video, lighting,
audio, and all the rest of it. On the sound crew, we have 10 guys. 10 sound guys. So it's 10 sound guys.
Well, there's a general maintenance that happens every day on the road when you break a wheel or you just catch brakes off that guys do on the road. You know, it's a pop rivet, chance some catches. But if there's a downtime during the tour, which is a couple of weeks to where you can grab the system, I mean, to which you can't do that huge amount of maintenance every day. You can do little portions, but you can't stop the production being built because of maintenance. So on a downtime, we'll take all the amplifiers out and we'll clean them all and blow them all out. And you know, the environments that the system's being in South America, to being indoors, to be whatever, it can be anything from being full of pyro dust, you know, red sand from Chile. I mean, there's no end of things.
Dear.
Spiders.
And a system like this, doing as large, as many shows as Metallica does actually more mileage than the average system does. So this has probably done as much work as a system of this size would do in a normal company. In 4 years, you've done it in 2. So halfway through this, we replaced all the casters on the speakers, you know, which is a huge investment, but you have to just
How much
keep
did
it
that
rolling.
cost, out of interest? How much does it cost to replace a load of casters on a system?
$11,000.
Just for wheels.
Just for wheels.
Just so as we can move it around quickly.
So yet another one of my kids is not going to college.
So basically, what sort of backup system do you have? What's your backup plan? Worst case scenario, you know, you've got a
Everybody has to go home.
That's it, show's over.
Yeah, bye. But you can't tell them that because it's not working.
No.
Always going into something like this when you, with the technology we have, and especially when you're talking fibre optic, and if that gets chopped, the show's down. We've always thought about that time if it ever did happen. So we do have...
I don't like.
So it
I don't
hasn't
like.
happened.
We don't like to talk.
I
It's
don't like
saying,
it.
don't say Macbeth at a play.
We're at the penultimate show here of the whole tour, and it's been absolutely fine. Can we move on to another question? Because the thought of it all going off and not working.
But we'd run redundancy.
There's a redundant system
redundancy
about it.
of it.
But it's difficult to back up such a monstrous amount of equipment. I mean, you can't carry another one.
No,
You know.
well, this is it.
Aeroplanes, engines fall off. You know?
F380s, you know.
Okay, so Big Mick.
Yes.
Obviously, the show is programmed, but do you actually have any opportunity with any artistic flair on
Well,
your
the
part?
thing is, I think, you know, if you were doing Pink Floyd or any other band that possibly runs like a load of samplers and whatever, and it's all predetermined volumes and whatever, there could be a lot of programming going to it. The console is obviously more than capable of doing multiple scenes. But Metallica's more of a grassroots feel thing. You cannot just program something and expect it's going to sound the same every day. It's not going to happen.
Set it and forget it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen in this world. It might happen in other worlds, you know, if you've got a dance act or whatever, lots of, you know, playback and whatever, it's always going to play back the same thing. You know, these guys get excited some nights they're not so excited. Some nights, you know, we've all had the end of tour party like last night, so I'm waiting to find out what happens there. It's always different. Each show, every individual show is unique unto itself. So far as artistic input, I have to mix all night, every night. So I sit here for 2¼ hours adjusting this, adjusting that, and there are set things that I will do, of course.
So you've got to be flexible.
But
Absolutely
you have
flexible.
to, absolutely.
On the ball,
and because,
flexible.
The dynamics
and
of how
because
they
you're
play
not,
as well.
Absolutely.
you're not trying to, with Metallica, it's more about capturing an attitude than it is about actually mixing a band. I mean, I did Def Leppard, I've done lots of other bands, which I would consider fantastic bands, but just rock bands. you
Yeah.
know, and they tend to be a little bit more consistent. This can be wild, and it's like a wild stallion, you know, you've got to tame it a little bit. But part of the band's magic is...
That's the beauty of them.
It's the beauty of them. It's the
Well,
excitement
I think
of
also
the band.
as well, once a tour of this size has been out, it's not like doing a one-off when you're battling with getting the room right and all that. There's a certain, you start off from a platform of consistency, and then he's allowed to produce and mix the show accordingly, not doing a lot of battling, you know. All that is done because you have a consistent, it's the same
You do
configuration
start
each
from a
day.
certain point. You don't start from zero every
Grassroots,
day.
come on.
You do have a thing that you start off with, but of course every show is going to be a little different, so you do have to mix it.
When I was mixing monitors, comes a point to where you fit in this groove. When the band's in the groove, and he's in the groove out front, the monitor's in the groove, and everything gels together.
Everything locks
Yeah.
together, yeah.
But one of those is slightly out of sync. It takes a while for you all to lock into the same room. When it all does, it's a very unusual.
you've had
It's a feeling that you only get as being an engineer.
But you've had a lot of time to get experience with
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Very
You've been
much.
very lucky.
Yeah, we
And-
have,
Well, I
absolutely.
mean, vice versa.
Yes. No, it's been an interesting roller
It's been a long
coaster.
ride.
But a lot of luck involved as well. Because the stage is so low, it's very difficult to fill to the barricade, because obviously the system is all flown above, as you can see, above the stage. So we have to cover the most highest seat and the nearest position on the barricade with the one flown system, which means that the arrays of the system have to be done in such a way that they cover very low and very high. And depending on the size of the venue, that's been quite a challenge to do. At the start of the tour, we had a few problems where we were seeing on chat boards, the Metallica.com, whatever chat boards, that people were saying that round the edge of the stage, they were having difficulty hearing the vocals.
Right.
And so we addressed this with Paul, got involved, because obviously you know, we need more equipment or different equipment. And we changed the bottom box on the entire system to the 120-degree Milo box, and we constructed a different sound zone just for that lower box to give it more vocals to cover right up to the barricade. Because we didn't, and then once we'd actually done that, we found there was 4 small little pies that weren't being covered, and there was just these 4 little areas on the barricade that weren't being covered. So we got some, I think they're melodies, aren't they, the small ones? We got 16 melodies, and we positioned just, because it's all got to be kept low, nothing can go high, because the stage is so low, and you're not going to obstruct the band.
It's a tough challenge.
It's really tough with such a low stage and in the round. So we put the melody in and just positioned them very carefully and sneaked amongst the lights and whatever, just to fill these 4 little pies that.
And that rectified the...
And we haven't had it since, and people say they can't hear the vocal on the barricade.
Perfect.
So you have to, it has to evolve, this kind of thing. Doing in the round sound is so difficult, and any engineer that's ever done it will tell you it's that. You create your own ambient problems, because, you know, us sitting here, we can hear not only the hang that's looking at us, we can hear the hang at the other end of the room, reflecting off the back and coming all the way down here.
Well, we've got
but
8
of course, it's late when it gets here. It's after the one that looks right after.
Yep.
So, and then everybody in the venue has the same problem. People on that side here, the other side. Now, depending on the type of venue and the construction, is how bad that is. So we are, within the round, you are definitely at the mercy of the venue. Because if it's a very reflective venue, then that's going to give you a lot of problems.
But from the concept of seeing a show,
it's fantastic.
it's like looking at those old shots of Madison Square Gardens when you saw a boxing match. You see that little dot and there's no restricted view. That's the kind of concept they want here,
Yes.
you know. But you didn't have to hear that boxing match, you only had to watch it, you know.
So, and everybody gets a front row seat. You know, we have 4 fronts of stage. So the in the round thing is fantastic for the audience to come and see a band, but very difficult for sound. And there's I could go on for quite a long time about all the problems.
But where there's a will, there's a way, and you've
Well,
achieved
absolutely,
that, haven't you?
and you have to battle, because, you know, there's only a certain amount of real estate up there in the air, and we start putting speakers where the lighting guys want to put lights, and you get into this to and fro.
Well, we've had 26 months to refine it, so 26 months to refine it, so you should it should be at its best tonight, shouldn't it? Put yourself on the spot there.
Well, I think on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us on ENTECH TV. We really appreciate your time, and good luck with the show.
Thank you very much.
And all the best in wrapping it up, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.